And that said, I'll hand over to Tom. Thank you very much in advance, Tom, and have a great session, everyone.
Thank you very much, Ben, and sorry for the slight delay there. We had a bit of a technical hitch. So yes, thank you very much for the introduction, Ben. My name is Tom Howell, and I'm going to be your trainer for today, delivering this 1-hour webinar on an introduction to using myBTEC. First, a little bit about me. I've been delivering BTECs for the whole time I've been a teacher, which is around 13 years. I still teach in the classroom. I've been delivering BTEC from level 2 to level 3 across the music and music technology sectors. I'm also a trainer for music and music technology, and I'm involved in some qualification development, writing things like assignment briefs and some of the assessment materials, as well as, like I said, delivering the training for music technology and myBTEC. I've just seen that Gemma has a bit of an issue without being able to hear the sound. I'll just double check and just check that everyone can hear me. So I am talking at the moment. Okay, yes. So Mark is sorry, Ben has left a little message. Okay. Brilliant. I'm glad people can hear me. So what we're going to do is today we're going to go through the session. Your mics are going to remain muted at the moment. And the reason we're going to keep those mics muted is because sometimes there can be background noise or people typing. But what we'll do is if you have a microphone connected and you are able to ask a question and you want to ask a question using the microphone, then if you raise your hand, there's a raise hand icon just next to the list of attendees. If you raise your hand, then Ben will be able to activate your mic to ask me a question. Okay, so without further ado, what we're going to do is we're going to go through and we're going to start with the introduction, which is going to be an overview of the myBTEC concept, and we're going to look at how to get started, and the majority of today's session is going to be a guided tour. So if you do have any questions, then obviously we do have the chat box there, and like I said, if you want to pause and put your hand up if you want to ask a question over the microphone, then that'll be fine as well. Whilst I'm doing the demonstration, if you do type in to the chat box, I will try to respond in a live setting. Okay, so I think we've got some polls. So the first thing we're going to do is just to get a bit of an overview of your centres and your experience, just so I can pitch the training in the correct way. So Ben, if we do have the polls, could we have them on screen now? Thank you. So first question, what is your highest BTEC responsibility? So we're looking for the highest responsibility. So you might be an assessor in one. So I'm not sure if you can see all these windows of mine that are open. I've been working from home today, so I've had quite a lot of windows open. So yeah, what is your highest BTEC responsibility? So if you're, for example, a course leader and the quality nominee, just select quality nominee. Hopefully that should be finished shortly. Okay, so if you're the assessor and the lead verifier, Mariam, then you choose lead IV. Okay, so because that's the higher one off the list, so please choose lead IV. Thank you. Okay, Gemma, if you're not sure what you are, that's fine. Don't worry about it. I'm sure that will come clear as the course goes on. So we've got quite a spread from quality nominee all the way down, and all of these different roles are ones that myBTEC can recognise in terms of how much usability you require. Okay, can we have the next poll, please, Ben? Okay, so have you used myBTEC before? So never, tried it a while ago, used it occasionally, or you use it often. Okay, so that's great. So most of you've either never used it or tried it a while ago or occasionally. So you're in the right place, the beginner webinar. Do we have another poll, I think, Ben? I think this poll is about your centre type. Yeah, so your type of centre, so whether you're at school, sixth form, FE college, work-based learning, or international. So it's important to remember that myBTEC can recognise all of these different roles, and it can be used in all of these different centres. So the majority of people from schools or FE colleges, 5% from a sixth form college, and work-based learning, and we don't have any international. Okay, lovely. Can we go back to the presentation, please? Thank you. There we go. Okay, so thank you very much for that. So we're just going to have a quick introduction to the myBTEC concept. So the idea behind myBTEC, it's a time-saving tool. It's designed by BTEC to save you time. We know that you do a lot of the assessment and the administration of the BTEC qualification yourselves in your centre. So myBTEC is designed to be used alongside your other systems, so your management information systems such as SIMS and your VLE or your e-portfolio. So it's not instead of, but it's alongside both of those systems. It's used instead of creating Word or Excel templates. So I know that you might need to do lots of mail merges in order to generate the correct documents that you require for a BTEC. So the idea is that myBTEC will take that out, and it's also bespoke. It's internal assessment and a workflow management system for all of your subject teams. As you can see at the bottom there where it says, I'm just going to get my pointer out, where it says part of EOL. EOL stands for Edexcel Online. So if you're a quality nominee or a lead IV or a course leader, you've probably been on EOL, Edexcel Online, and you will have a login to that already. It's where you go to do the OSCE materials. Quality nominees will use that quite regularly. If you don't know what Edexcel Online is and you don't think you've got an Edexcel Online login, what you would need to do is go and see your exams officer, who is normally the Edexcel Online administrator. Ask them to create you a profile and just ensure that the myBTEC button is ticked. But essentially, myBTEC is a front end to Edexcel Online. So feedback that we've had whilst BTECs have been live is that we assess them ourselves, we produce lots of paperwork, and it gives us less time to teach. What myBTEC does is it creates these digital workflows which are pre-populated, and things cross-pollinate from one to another. So if you add a date on an assignment brief, it updates your assessment plan automatically. So it can be a real time saver. Hi Gemma, yeah, I think you might be in the wrong training, because this is about myBTEC. But if you are new to myBTEC, what I'll try and do is deliver the training so that you can you might be able to understand a little bit about what you need to do to set up a course whilst we go through this introduction to myBTEC. So feel free to leave if you want to, but you might get something out of it, and I'll try to make sure that I pitch it so that you can understand what we're talking about. Okay, so what myBTEC does is it saves you time to teach by producing all the paperwork and all the administration tasks that are required. So for example, on here, instead of having to type out all of these features on an assignment brief, you simply click one box and it automatically generates them on the assignment brief. So that's just one example of a time-saving device, and that gives us more time to teach quality lessons. The other thing that people have said is that people worry about getting it wrong. They worry that standards verification can be stressful. And what myBTEC does is it gives you these digital workflows that make these administration decisions and tracking calculations automatically. Now, it's a front end to the BTEC certification system that is used when you claim certificates for your learners in the summer. So you know that if what myBTEC is telling you is the grade that the learner is going to come out with, that is the grade that those learners will get. So as you can see here, we've just got a screenshot of an internal verification form. Normally we would have to type these things in, but with myBTEC, you already know that you're doing these correctly because it's already made sure that they're automatically correct. It won't let you move on without fulfilling certain criteria. So on the screen at the moment, you can see in the top right corner all of the assessment document and internal verification documents that are required to run a BTEC, and all of the steps that are required from the recruitment of learners all the way to claiming certification. And all of these steps that have turned yellow are ones that are automated by myBTEC. That means that all of these not only have wizards or templates to fill out the content of these steps, also they will talk to each other, so you might only have to fill things out once and it will go through, but also it keeps everything in a really neat online audit trail, so everybody who requires access to it can have access to it. The other advantage is up here with all these documents, we know that they change every couple of years, and sometimes members of your team might be using the wrong form, or you might need to download one and save it in certain areas. Perhaps you don't have access to it at home. So you can be really confident that anything that is outputted from myBTEC will be outputted in the correct Pearson approved pro forma. Okay, so just a quick reminder, so it's unique and it's free to anybody who's registered. It's online, so there's no installation required. It's, like I said, it's web implemented, it's online, so you can use it on mobile devices as well. It's the front end of Edexcel Online and Pearson certification systems, so it grabs all the information in terms of learner registration and certification from there. It recognizes all these different users, assessors, internal verifiers, quality nominees, and exams officers. And also, and this is a feature that I'm a standards verifier for music and music technology as well. This is a really good feature, is that standards verifiers can access it too, so you don't even need to email anything to your standards verifier when they get in touch with you. It's if you request, so it's not we're not spying on you. If you choose to, that's the way the standards verifier can do your sample. It's up to you. Free to any centres, and it covers all qualifications from entry level to level 3 BTEC. Okay, so we're just going to have a quick poll. So in just true teacher style, we're going to have a quick poll to check our learning. So what is myBTEC's mission? Is it to make money for Pearson, to save you time that can benefit learners, to let Pearson keep an eye on what you're doing, or to improve exam grades? So if you could just answer one of them. Okay, so yeah, that's correct. So it's to save you time that can benefit learners, and I suppose you are right that it can improve exam grades by doing so. Excellent. Can we have the next poll, please, Ben? Okay, so how does myBTEC save time? By using information on your assessment plans to update your assignments, pre-populating documents and qualification information, keeping all records in one place accessible anywhere, and notifying colleagues whenever I need them to internally verify something. So just for the sake of Gemma, internal verification is the internal checks and balances that are required for the running of a BTEC. So every time, and I'll demonstrate that in a minute, but every time we do anything in myBTEC, every time we do anything in a BTEC qualification, we have an internal check and balance, because it doesn't work in the same way as external exams would do for different qualifications. Okay, so I think has everybody answered that? If we can broadcast that, please, Ben, that would be great. Okay, so yeah, I think you've worked it out. So actually, it does all of those things. So myBTEC saves you time by doing all the things that you can see on the screen there. Okay, could we go back to the presentation? Okay, so we're just going to have a quick look at how you get started. So for most of you, hopefully you will have an Edexcel Online login already. So we know that when you set up a BTEC qualification, a centre needs to nominate a quality nominee. So all centres will have a quality nominee. So in order to get registrations out there for myBTEC, we use a claim role setup. So quality nominees automatically will have full access on Edexcel Online. New users log in from Edexcel Online. They then claim a role which the quality nominee approves. Lead IVs for each sector can also approve lower claim roles. So once we've got all the lead IVs in place, they can then accept role claims. So some centres might only have one person teaching on a BTEC qualification, but in other centres, in large sixth form colleges, for example, you might have 20 or 30 members of staff. Okay, so myBTEC will also guide you, so it will tell you, if you're a read-only access, this is what you're able to do, all the way up to lead internal verifier. Read-only might be useful for somebody who's perhaps your senior leadership team link, if they just want to keep an eye on how progress is going for learners, or perhaps somebody who does some intervention work with your course. An assessor obviously creates and marks work, internal verifier who verifies assignments, assessment decisions, and a course leader who creates new courses. Now, if you are an internal verifier for one unit and you're an assessor for another, then you would select internal verifier for that whole sector. Okay, so myBTEC also will guide you. So we have this task panel, and it's there throughout the whole myBTEC platform. It will, if there's a job that needs to be done, if you click on it, it will take you directly to it. If you're not logged in, so if your colleague writes an assignment brief on a Sunday night and you're not doing schoolwork that night, then you'll be sent an email on the first thing Monday morning. You'll have the email, you click on it, and it'll take you straight to that task that you need to complete again. Okay, so the next steps are, we're going to create your courses, select your course team, import learners. We're going to show you that today. Let myBTEC help you to build your assignments. You're going to be able to add dates to assignments, which will automatically generate your assessment plan and your internal verification process. And then this is what we cover in the final advanced webinar, so assessment. So if you wanted to come back for the advanced webinar, that will be covering assessment. Okay, so we've got our final polls. Okay, Gemma, thank you very much for attending. If you go on to the training page, training from Pearson page, I'm not sure what sector you said you were from, but there should be some getting ready to teach events coming up in the summer term for training. So if you want to private message me on here about your sector, I can show you where those training events will be. Okay, thank you. So what was the first thing you need to do? Back to the poll, what was the first thing you need to do to get started with myBTEC? So is it build a course, get an edXL online login, claim a role, or create an assignment? Yep, so for some of you it will be getting an edXL online login. For those of you that already have it, is to claim a role. That's brilliant, thank you. And the final poll for this section, I think. Okay, so sorry, it was just the one poll for that section. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to do a live demonstration. So if you just give me a second to get set up. So hopefully you can see my browser. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go to edXL Online. Most of you should be familiar with edXL Online. Like I say, if you are a lead IV, this is where you'll have downloaded your OSCE materials. And normally it would be your center email address and a password set up for you by your edXL Online administrator. When you get to here, this is a test center, so it should have your center name and number up there, and you would have a lot more options. When I click on BTEC, the only one that I've got here is myBTEC. You would have a lot more options here. You might want to, if you do have access to another laptop, or if you want to open another tab on your laptop, you might want to follow along with me here. So you would then select myBTEC, and because we're logged into edXL Online, that will then take you straight through to myBTEC. So like I say, think of it as a front end of myBTEC. So this is the landing page that we get to. It gives you your center number up there. You can see this is a test center. If any of you work in consortium or confederation arrangements or multi-site arrangements, myBTEC can understand that. So you can see we have a multi-site arrangement here. You can favorite your site. So I've made Test Center C my default site, but there are 3 different sites here. You have your most recently used qualifications on your homepage here when you land, so you can go straight to the last course that you were running. So for most of you, you'd probably only have 2 or 3 courses on there. For the quality nominee, you'd see all the courses in your centre. Obviously, as this is a training site, we have a lot. So things are starting to fill up a little bit. So yeah, I apologise if it looks slightly confusing at times. So the first thing you need to do when you first log in is to claim a role. So if you go to roles, and then you're going to go to my roles, and these are all the roles that I've got. So you can see I've got some approved, some awaiting approval of various levels. Yours would obviously be blank at this point, and click on claim a role. You choose the subject. Now this will come up with subjects that your centre has centre approval for. So you won't be able to see any. If you can only see 1 or 2 subjects there, it's because you only have 1 or 2 subjects of centre approval. Like I say, it's directly linked to the certification at Excel Online system. So let's go for engineering. I'm going to see what roles are available. So I could claim all of them, and I'm going to say that I'm an assessor on engineering, and I'm going to click submit to approval. This will now say it's been sent to Lara Hargreaves, the quality nominee for my centre, and I'll receive an email when the claim has been confirmed. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to quickly show you that from a quality nominee point of view, because we do have a couple of quality nominees here. So I'm going to log in as Lara, the quality nominee, and oh, I think I might have saved the Ben, if you could let me know if this has been because this is a development site. Sometimes some of these logins are used for development reasons, so the passwords change, it might lock us out. Just give us 1 second, Delegate. Sorry, I just need to type a message to Ben back screen. Okay. Okay, so that's working. So thank you very much for that, Ben. Yeah, so like I say, as a development, because it's a developer site, sometimes these things change. So I've now logged in as Lara. Lara is she's working in centre in a different site. So if I now go to this task that's come up, it should say there is a task to review there, but it doesn't. Let's have a quick look. Okay, it might be under roles. I'm wondering if this is because the email address has been updated. Okay, there might have been. Let's have a look in Test Centre C. That's where I was working. So normally a role claim would come up there. I think it might have come through now, actually. There we go. Role approval. If I click on view, it takes me to here. Tom Howell Trainer is asking to be assessor for engineering, and the quality nominee can just say yes, approve that, and confirm the roles. So I'm now confirmed. Okay, so it's as simple as that. I'm going to log in again as myself, as my training account, and then I can demonstrate to you how to set up some of the initial features. Thank you for your patience. Okay. Okay, so you've logged in, you've created your user, you've claimed your role, you've been authorized by either the quality nominee or the lead internal verifier. Now what it's time to do is set up a course. So only course leaders, lead internal verifiers or quality nominees can set up courses. So if you've claimed a role for assessor or internal verifier, you can't do this stage, but it's important to know that somebody can. So we're going to create a course. Now, like I said, I teach and I deliver training on music and music technology, so I'm going to stick to what I know. So we've got different subjects here. You'll see here, these are all the subjects for which I've got the ability to set up a course, because I've claimed a lot of roles, so it means that I've got access rights to set up a course for these. I'm going to click on music and music technology. What it's now doing is it's going and seeing what I am able to deliver at this centre, so what I've got centre approval for. I'm going to go for the nationals. It then says, well, what are the subjects or the pathways that are available within that, and you can see it's ticking off here as we go. So I'm going to go for what am I going to go for? I'm going to go for sound engineering, and it knows that there's only one size, that is the extended certificate size. I'm going to say that, and it gives me some guidance here. It's got to be before the qualification end date, but I'm going to say we started in September of this year, and it's going to end by May. I know that I need to have my SV sample with my SV kind of by middle of May, so I want everything finished by the start of May. And I'm going to give it a name. Save and continue. Now, as it's going through, it's going to build the course. Now, for me, because I've done this several times before, it's going to say, here are some units, here are some of the mandatory units. Well, so not because I've done this before, but it's going to pop up here and it says, here are the mandatory units, so I can preview the mandatory units within myBTEC. One of the aims of myBTEC is that you can do the whole of a BTEC without leaving it. So you can see here, instead of having to go through the entire specification, I just have the unit specification for one of the mandatory units there. I can download and print from there if I want to, but you can access it from within myBTEC at all times. So I've got the two mandatory units, one internal, one external. I know I need to create some optional units, so I'm going to go for live sound, mixing and mastering techniques, and working and developing as a production team. So I've selected those three. I've got the correct number of units. I'm going to click on save and continue. Now I've got here some of the units that have been used in the past. So you can see how once you've started using myBTEC, you can see how quick things can get up and going. So this is where there are some units that I've used before. So I've obviously created an assignment brief for mixing and mastering previously, and I created it in June 2018. It covers all three learning aims. So I think I'm going to go for that one. For the rest of them, I obviously used authorized assignment briefs in the past for Unit 2. So I'm just going to select them as well. And now I'm just going to click on Save and Continue. So those might be ones that worked really well in the past. They've been added. Now you can imagine if this is just a course that you were running again and you didn't need to set anything up, how quick it can be to add all of those elements there. So in terms of staff, I'm going to add another internal verifier, and I'm going to make that Ben. And perhaps a read-only member of staff. And I'm not going to do that. So I can add people who are assessors only, like I said, a read-only member of staff who might be a senior leadership or an intervention person. And now I need to add some learners. So, oh, I don't have any learners registered on this qualification at my centre. Okay, that's absolutely fine. So what I would do, this is because it connects to Edexcel Online. So what I would do at this point is click on Add Learners, and that list of learners will come up. So I can't do that at the moment, but I've shown you how to set up a course. And we would go to, and I've said I'm going to add learners later. I'd have a chance to go through. I could edit that now. Click on Confirm Course. Let's just have a quick look there, because it does say, no, this, okay, confirm the course. and confirm the course. So once those learners were registered, and that might be actually a realistic situation that you might find yourself in September, because registrations don't normally go through until October. So you could set up the course without adding learners at that point until they appear in Edexcel Online. So there is that course. Let's go back though. I'm going to go to course management. And I'm going to go to a different course, perhaps one that I did back in February. So I did the extended certificate in digital music production then, and I know that there are some yeah, you can, I think you can amend course dates, but you probably wouldn't need to, Paulina, because you're running the course from September to May, for example. So you don't need to change the course dates just when the learners are registered on the course. You can register learners at any point throughout the course. Obviously, you can't assess until they are registered, and you have late registration fees. But yeah, you can amend things afterwards. You've got the edit button there if you need to. Okay, so this is a course that I'd set up before. You can see that I've got some learners that are already added to this course, and it's a slightly different course. I've got slightly different units. I'm not sure if I might have already completed some of the tasks that I was going to demonstrate to you. So what I might need to do, yeah, I have done. Okay, so I'm really sorry. I'm just going to have to set up a course again. Just so that I can demonstrate some of the stuff to you. I apologise, I must have set up the wrong course, but hopefully will you be able to see me going through this again. That's the course that I want, digital music production. Let's say we're doing a very short course. So I'm going to call it DMP, which stands for digital music production. So you can see how quickly somebody can set a course up. Okay, so again, slightly different internal and external units. The optional units that I want, I'm going to use 10, 13, and 16. Save and continue. I'm going to add that assignment. No, I'm not. Yep, I'm going to add that assignment that I used before, and I'm going to use authorized assignment briefs for Unit 3. Save and continue. I'm going to add Ben again as my lead internal verifier. There are 5 learners registered for this qualification now, so you can see how it stops you getting things wrong. Select all of those learners, add them to my course, and like I say, this is pulled straight in from Edexcel Online, so it's all updated, all their names, all their registration numbers are all straight from myBTEC. So Edexcel Online pulled into myBTEC. Now I'm doing this a long way around really to demonstrate this to you, but if I wanted to, I can just clone a course. So what you would do is, if you know that you're going to use this course every year, you go into your last course and click on copy course, and everything will just be copied across for you. I'm doing this a long way around just to demonstrate for you, but I'm just going to confirm that course there. So once you've done it once, everything will be confirmed. I'm going to confirm and set targets. So once you've done once, and if you know that you've got generally the same course year on year, it is a case of 2 or 3 buttons, and you can have your course completely set up. So we're at the stage at a centre that I work in where that's what we do. In July, we just clone a course and set it up for the following year, and it takes us about 5 minutes, and all of this stuff is done, especially if we know we're using the same assignment briefs, the same staff, and then we just need to add learners once they're registered. Okay, so it's taken me to this point where I'm going to set target grades. So Jimi Hendrix is going to get a distinction star according to my data that I've got in front of me. Okay, so it's all aspirational data. Now I might have done at this point, let's say we're doing this in October, I might have done a baseline assessment covering all of these units. So this one with the grey box around it is externally assessed. If I hover over, you can see that it says they're not marked. Now I might have done, like I say, I might have done a mock or perhaps some kind of baseline assessment. If this is a level 3 course, so maybe I've got learners from external centres, so I might not have taught them at Key Stage 5. And I might want to just set them some target grades having done a month of small tasks. So I might say these are the predicted grades I think these learners will get, having consulted with my team and done a little bit of work with them. Now, what's really nice is you used to, if anybody does do this, you can download a tracker, which is in an Excel spreadsheet from the Pearson website, which is absolutely fine, but it just does it for one learner at a time. And every time you go through and you might change one thing, you can only do it for one learner at a time. But what's good about this is if I just click save, this is now going off, and I can be really confident that whatever grades these come back with are going to be the grades. The final grades would be the ones, without me having to lift a finger, that I know that these learners would get, were these the correct grades in the summer, because it's connecting at the moment. The calculation is connecting to the Pearson certification system. So because these aren't bold and they don't have an icon next to them, I know that these are just predicted grades. So these are my predicted grades, and you can see that the overall grade has been calculated. Most of them are coming out with a merit or a pass compared to their target grade. So Jimi Hendrix has a lot of work to do, and a couple of them are already on target, Prince and Stephen Morrissey, sorry. So let's imagine though that we've got a member of staff in our team who has marked everything the traditional way, has marked off, offline, gathered in the learner work, completed all the marking, and now we want to add this onto the tracking grid. I can click add and edit final grades. You can see it's got a handshake icon there. The reason it's got a handshake icon is because we're going to now put them in, and it's an element of a trust or agreement. So let's say that they've actually done pretty well. Let's give them a distinction. Okay, so they've done really well on this particular qualification, on this particular unit, sorry. Click on save, and now this comes up here, manual grade declaration. I declare the grades are the final grades that will be part of any certification claim. I have an audit trail to evidence these grades are correctly awarded. So this is almost like level 1 of using myBTEC. Set up the course, get the learners in there, and you can use it as a tracking system. So if you're assessing offline, this would be what you might want to do. Okay, so it's just calculating the grades based on those new units. You'll see there's a new icon that comes up. And now you can see it tells me that 20% of the course has been assessed. I've got 2 out of 5 learners on target. Some of those grades have moved up slightly, but we still have 3 learners that are off target, that are below their target. Okay, so that's using it as a tracking system. And now, because it's got that handshake icon, that means that we have said that that is definitely we can say that that is definitely a final grade for that unit. Now, the reason we've got that and we have that declaration is because the new update coming out for this summer will mean that there'll be just 2 or 3 clicks required to claim certification, which I'm particularly excited about, because if anybody has done certification claims with their exams officer using SRF forms or even using the bulk claim on Edexcel Online, you'll know it can be quite tricky, and you need really good eyesight, and you need to tick exactly the right box. I think this is going to make it much easier for certification claim. So it'll be a system whereby there's a button that you press here, it's confirmed by our exams officer, and then it comes back and you do the claim. So there are checks and balances within it, but that's why we need to have these claims here. The other thing is, because these are this is external with the grey boxes around it, once you get so we've got results that came out last week for externally assessed units in BTEC. Once they're out, they will appear automatically on myBTEC with a little cup symbol next to them. So that will that's when they've been verified. So in the same way as this, you can put in your predicted grade there, and when it's the real grade, like the real grade from the assessment, it will come through there. Dan has just asked a really good question on the chat, so if anyone wants to have a look at that and look at Ben's answer, then please do so. Okay, so that is the tracking and claim. You can also export these. So if we click on export, it exports out to an Excel spreadsheet. So we can't link to our, I can't directly export to something like your management information software like Sims, but what you can do is once it's been exported, you can, just give me 1 second, I don't know why it's not exporting properly. Once it's been exported as a spreadsheet, you can save as what is called a, there we go, a CRV file, comma separated, CSV, sorry, comma separated values file, and you can then upload it to your management information software that way. You can also use this if you want to share it offline. So if you're going to a parents' evening or in the hall or somewhere where you don't have Wi-Fi access, you could export it here, and then you have an offline version too. As a spreadsheet. So we've just got a question coming in from Mariam. There are 5 units in the certificate level 1 IT. Do we need to complete them all before sending units to external verifier, or can I do them one by one? So that's the question for your standards verifier, but your SV, so Ben's already answered me there. So SV looks at your assessment plan and they check which units they want to select. So in terms of assessment plan and assignment briefs, I'm going to go straight to that bit now. So hopefully you understand the learner tracking there. So if we go here, this is the course assignments page. You can see that I've got 3 that are being creative, no active assignments, and no finished assignment briefs. But I've covered about half the learning aims, the ones that are here. So these ones are draft assignments at the moment. The reason they're draft is because they've not been internally verified. So I'm going to get mixing and mastering this first one. And this is one that I've made in the past. And in order to add it to my assessment plan, it needs to be internally verified. So it will take me through to a preview of that assignment brief now. It's just loading up. So we have these 4 tabs at the top here: course management, course assignment, assessment plan, and learner progress. And then for each, when we're in this assignment brief view, we've got 4 steps that we can do for each assignment brief. So you can see, this is one that I've obviously made really quickly in a demonstration. But there's the assignment brief. What I need to do is I need to send it to the internal verifier. Before it can be sent to an internal verifier, it needs to be needs to have dates added to it. So let's say that we internally verified it on the 19th. We gave it out to our learners on the 20th. They handed it on the 21st. I'm going to do the IV sampling on the 22nd. The resubmission date will be the 25th. And IV resubmission on the 26th. Ben is going to be the assessor. I'm going to be the internal verifier, and now I'm going to send it. So I've added all the dates, and now as internal verifier, I'm taken to this internal verification page. So you can say that there's these 4 different radio buttons you can use. Now, if it's an authorized assignment brief, if you click on there, you can see everything has already been verified, and all you need to do is comment on the time frame. If it's an authorized assignment brief that has been adapted, when you click on there, there's more things for you to type in, because myBTEC realizes that actually you probably need to spend a little bit of time looking at those there. If it's been recently verified, you can see it basically treats it like an authorized assignment brief. This is where myBTEC is really clever. It says, state the location of records. myBTEC has found a recent review. So if I click on there, it will preview the previous form that we've done. So you can see I've got some feedback there from Ben. There's the previous internal verification form that we did last year. Or is it a brand new assignment? You can see if it were a brand new assignment, there's loads of stuff that we need to add in there, but still there's not as much as you would need to normally, because you've got all these boxes that say with myBTEC, you know you're getting it right. So let's click on here, because it is one that's been recently verified. It's found the IV form for you to have a look at. So all we need to do is comment on the date. We'll say, yes, it's an appropriate time frame. We'll say they have 5 hours a week for 2 weeks, and it avoids mock exams. This should be plenty of time. Okay, so because we've got less to do, I can actually make more qualitative statements that are going to help my colleagues there. Because I click on yes there, it automatically says that this is fit for purpose, and I click on send. Okay, so yeah, so Ben's asking some questions there about editing plans and individualizing. So we've still got that flexibility for myBTEC, and you can individualize stuff for learners. Okay, so that's now been internally verified. What that means now is that if we go up here and we go to the assessment plan, you can see that mixing and mastering techniques has been added to the assessment plan. All the dates are in there, and it knows that Ben is the assessor and I'm the internal verifier. What I would like to do now is I'm going to add an external assessment. So I know that there's only one unit, which is Unit 6. By going on the Pearson website, I maybe know that it's going to happen, I don't know, the 29th of April. Add that to plan. It will add that one to the plan. I'm going to add an assessment, and I'm going to add, I know that we want something that's going to happen leading up to that, so it's going to happen in April. I haven't made the assignment brief yet, but I know that we really need to do the synthesis assignment brief at that point. I'm going to be delivering it. Ben's going to be the internal verifier. I'm not going to choose an assignment now because I don't have one, but I know it's going to be a synthesis one. So let's just put that in, and it'll just create a holding one there. So you can see it doesn't have the unit title, but I've got that there as I'm doing my planning. I'm going to add another assessment, and this time I'm going to choose an assignment. Now I'm going to choose the authorized assignment brief that I added before. Let's say we're going to do this one at this point. So again, we've got to go through all the dates, but you can be confident you're getting things right. So you can see really quickly we're adding in assignment briefs to our plan. This one here, the authorized assignment brief, will look slightly different because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to click on there, and because this is one that Ben's doing, I need to send it to the internal verifier, so I'm going to click on that, and that will send that to Ben. Okay, let's say on our we want to set up an assignment brief. Let's go to the assessment plan. What if I want to create a brand new assessment? So I'm going to add an assessment. Oh, sorry. I'm going to go to course assignments. I apologize. I want to create a brand new one. So let's say I've got one that already exists. So our center assignments, any ones that we've done in the past are here. Pearson authorized assignments are there. So I could add in, at this point, I can say, right, I want to add in for Unit 10, I've got the 2 authorized assignment briefs, and all the authorized assignment briefs for any unit that you've selected in that sector will be there. So I've added them in. What about if I want to create a new one? So I'll show you how quick this is. Now this might mean creating a new one from scratch, but some of you might have really good assignment briefs that you've been using, that you've designed yourself. We can't upload them onto myBTEC, but you can just copy and paste. So if you've got them as a Word document, you can just copy and paste from that Word document onto here. So let's say we're going to do this one for the commercial production. Okay, so we're going to add that in there. We're going to say what units it is. So it's going to be Unit 16. Now at this point, this is where I would copy and paste the text from my assignment brief I've already got. Instead of having to type all this out, I click 1, 2, 3 buttons. All of the learning aims are in there. Adding the scenario and task, I've got some guidance from the assessment team here as to what I need to do. So I'm not going to fill it all in, but I've got functionality there in terms of what they need to do. You must first, it tells me that a list is really useful, and adding some space for learners. That's in my guidance here. So you can see myBTEC guides you, and this is part of the the mission statement of myBTEC, that you wouldn't have to leave myBTEC to do anything, because you're going to be able to do everything within this platform. You can delete tasks from there as we go. You've got this guidance from the assessment team here. The evidence required is a final mixed track, and they also need production logs. This is where you might add an attachment file. So for example, in sport, I know a lot of people need to do an example workout training plan. So you might have the pro forma from the gym in that scenario, or in business, you might have a pro forma of a business plan. So you might attach that particular file there. You could add another task, but just for brevity, I'm not going to. You can put in the resources that are in your center that you want them to use. What have I not done? Oh, I've not added the task criteria. So you see myBTEC won't let you continue unless you've said why. You need to have all of them done, because I've said that this assignment brief is going to cover all of them. It won't let me move on until I've done all of them. If I click on next, I'm very sorry that I'm going rapidly with this. I just wanted to make sure that I've finished everything by 5 o'clock for you. Here is my preview. Now, obviously, like I said, if you've got one that you've already made, it might just be a case of copying and pasting across. But you can see how quickly you can add your assignment brief. I'm going to send it to the internal verifier for approval. Before I do so, I need to add in some dates. You can't IV something unless it's got dates on it. Oops. Okay. Let's go back. You can see all the dates before that are grayed out. That's because it won't let you break the rules, which is nice. Let's say it's Ben that's going to be the assessor on this one. I'm going to be the internal verifier. It's been sent to the internal verifier for review. I'm going to finish that. And now that assignment, which has been made really quickly, obviously, but you would spend a little bit more time in it, has been sent to the internal verifier. There it is. I am going to internally verify it. Just for the sake, just for argument's sake, I know it is a brand new one, but I'm just going to say it's an authorized one so that I can just do it really quickly for you. Good question, Mariam. Yeah, officially, the internal verifier needs to be somebody who understands the processes and can get that information out of the specification. For writing assignment briefs, probably you don't need someone with subject knowledge. When it comes to assessment decisions, Pearson can't say that you have to, but you don't. Yeah, you don't have to, but it'd probably be useful. Victoria is up to 15. Oh, sorry, no. Kelly, it's up to 15 working days. So, for example, in music or music technology, sometimes one day is appropriate. If it's a concert, you might just give them the next day, especially when you've got staging in performing arts and drama. I know quite often you might get them to do their resubmission the same day. That would be absolutely fine. So it's up to 15 days, so we can't really dictate that. And also it can't go across a holiday. So we can't block out the 15 days. That's a really good point, thank you. So assessment record sheets. I will show you assessment record sheets now. So let's have a look what would happen if we wanted to assess offline. I don't have any learners added to this particular assignment brief. It says it's ready for learners. So I'm going to add some learners. I'm going to give it to all of my learners for this course. So now it's basically with learners. You would at this point submit it to them as a PDF. They would start assessing. If we're going to assess offline, we can click this button here. And what it's going to do, I think you're going to like this, if I click on the download button, it is going to create, rather than me having to create lots and lots of assessment records, it has created one Word document, and within that Word document, I've got the program details that are correct, the learner name, the assignment title, the assessor name, the unit details, the target learning aims, and all of the criteria there. And I can just go through now and treat this like a Word document and just type into it and save as I go, including all the other details. And I've got it for each individual learner. So there's one for Prince, there's one for Morrissey, etc. So it really is going to save you time. So yeah, if there are any questions, thanks Ben. If there are any questions, type them now. So that's a really good way of saving you time. Once that has been done, if we want to do the IV sample offline, again, it does exactly the same thing. So it creates this document with all the information already in, and there you go. All that information is there, saves another few minutes, and you can just type in there. Okay, so that's offline assessment. It's creating the learner progress, so it's creating an assignment brief, and it's also showing you the learner progress. Last thing I'm going to do is see if I can show you some online marking just very briefly. So is there one that is available for this? I think I can do some online marking here. No, that one, I've not had any learners added to that. So that's not been internally verified. Yeah, Dan's asked a question asking if I can show online marking. So I am gonna try. So I've already got learners on for that one. Just give me 1 minute, Dan. Let me see if I've got an assignment brief. Okay, so I think this one I might be able to do. Yeah, okay, so it's ready for learners. I'm going to add learners. I'm just going to add one. Oh no, I'll add them all. No, I won't. I'll add one. I'm going to make it quicker. Thanks, Dan. Okay, because I've just remembered this has got every single assessment criteria on it as well. So this is what it looks like when you get to here. I'm going to go to online marking. What's nice as well, you've got marking history. So if you adapt anything or amend anything, if you have, after standards verification, you can go back and it saves everything in a little zip file. So you've got your full marking history there. So Jimi Hendrix, I've not marked his work. Let's say he did submit it on time. I can't remember what date it was due, but we can have a look without leaving anywhere. I've got the unit specification there, so I can go and find the assessment criteria. So again, I'm not having to leave myBTEC. He has submitted it. This is where the lead IV might choose a resubmission. I can say whether he's achieved it or not. You can see it automatically fills out. Well done, Jimmy. You have met the criterion. Describe how it makes them in a door. Now, at this point is when I would say you have done this by, because we want to have some specific evidence for Jimmy. So we have done this by, or when you, or in your presentation, etc. So we can't just leave it like that, but it's giving us a bit of a sentence starter. And then we just need to specify where the learner has done that. So again, it's saving you time, meaning that you can have these fully completed very quickly. Just for the purposes of today, because we're training, I'm not going to do it properly, but I am just going to go through here. General comments, this is where you say you approached this unit really well. In future, you might need to, etc. Yes, if I was to click no on distinction there, please enter comments to tell Jimmy what they've got right. So it might say he's not got a distinction. I can't remember what D3 is about. Oh, this is where they need to produce a bounce masses showing a thorough understanding of the process involved with detailed understanding of the source material. So I might say, although you bounced your track successfully, your production notes were insufficient to demonstrate a detailed understanding. And I might say, something about the source material. They didn't fully engage with the source material there. You approach it really well. In future, you might need to. So in this situation, this is a perfect situation where Jimmy's done really well on everything. He's just not really spent enough time on there. You might say, I know you had some issues towards the end of term with your timing. So the lead IV has awarded you a resubmission. Now again, this comes back to the point we made before. Jimmy does not need 15 days to resubmit one paragraph of his production notes. You will have, so you might give them one week, 5 working days to resubmit the required evidence. I think I am the lead IV for this course, so I can click there. It gives you the rules of resubmission. Click on that button there. You need to certify. That's done. You can see it now turns orange. That's changed from marking in progress to completed. It's given him a merit. If I finish all, it then prompts me at this point to send it to the internal verifier for sampling, who is Ben. And that's when Ben can do the sample. I'm aware that we have run over by a few minutes. There's just one last thing I want to show you, which is a new feature, and it's only because Ben mentioned it there, which is that you can now actually have a look. In the assessment plan, you can change it to be a Gantt chart, which is nice. So it shows you when things have been sent out and how long you've planned for those assignment briefs to take. So it's a really useful view across the 2 academic years. Okay, so we've got a few questions. Are there plans to add features to enable students to submit their work electronically via myBTEC? This is a question that we always get. It would be perfect if we could. Unfortunately, there are so many different ways that people do submit work that it's proving hard. There is a proof of concept doing it with Google Classroom, but obviously, again, Pearson can't dictate what virtual learning environment you can do. But we are working on it. In terms of a step-by-step guide, there is this recording. You will get sent a recording of this particular training event that you've been on, so you can share that with colleagues. A step-by-step guide is something that could be delivered and could be created. There isn't one at the moment, but we could put it across to the training team and see if they will commission a step-by-step guide for people. So like Ben says, the roadmap is to integrate with other systems. So you would, for example, we use the center that I'm in, we use Google Classroom. And what we do is once we've got to the assignment briefs, we export it. Oh, there is step-by-step guidance. Thanks, Ben. I haven't used step-by-step guidance for this for a long time, as you can imagine. So the idea is that you might, for example, create the assignment brief, export it as a PDF, create the assignment in whatever VLE, Moodle, Google Classroom, Office 365 system that you're using. The learners create their work there, and then you just need to, because this is web-based, you just need to have an extra tab open in order to do the assessment. That's how I've seen it work in the past, and it works really well, especially where people are in creative sectors where learners are creating, for example, bounce tracks, videos, etc., artwork. Okay, so sorry for overrunning slightly. I think the polls took us a bit longer than we thought. I'm glad you're keen to give it a go, Dan. Have a play around. That's the best way to find out how these things work. Any questions, send them to Ben. And if you could just do this quick poll at the end, and there will also be a link to training, which is about me and my training. It'd be really good if you could fill that out for me. It just really helps to give us an overview of how it's been done. Again, I apologize that we've gone quite quickly. So if you could just fill out the quick poll on the screen there, click on the link when it comes to you, and you will get a recording shortly. Thank you very much for being with us today, and hopefully we'll see you again, either at another one of these as a reminder, or perhaps even at the advanced session. Thank you very much.